Alright, so we might have glitched the game a little bit again, but this is still the same map as what we tested the other day. However, I made a fairly thick defense, and I'm just going to try and test this out. So I kind of just built around what was in this area naturally. So it's not 100% like secure area, but I'll kind of show you. This right here is just a great, I highly doubt they're going to get through that. We have iron doors on everything. We have this, which goes down to a mine shaft, which connects to a cave, so it's possible creatures could come up from that direction. We have double doors on pretty much every section of the castle. And this right here is the castle that we got going on. So what I wanted to see was if a thick wall could actually keep the monsters out. So the bottom part of this castle is like 5 thick, I believe. And then this part is 3 thick. And then the interior wall is 1 thick at the moment. I could make it thicker if I need to. And the roof I've made 3 thick as well, so it's a very thick roof in case the illusions to get down in there. I would hope. This right here is just a stairwell that goes down into the bottom of the castle, and we have a couple of buildings just to have a little variety inside of the castle walls, and also put a little bit more thickness on these kind of areas here, because these pieces of mountain we didn't really put any defenses on, so they can easily cut right through these mountains, and that's going to be the real debate. Then these outside walls are going to be 3 thick as well, and then we have a pretty deep moat area here. So I don't know if the creatures are going to fall into the water or not, because there's still quite a bit of distance. Zombies would probably just build across, so I think I'm going to have to raise the water levels if I'm going to do this. Because I think zombies are just going to build across it, and they're going to either blow up the walls or something of that regard. Uh, I put fences here to kind of bottleneck them from being able to get across this. However, most likely they're going to blow up this front gate. And then I built a man-made waterfall out of this to kind of keep them from climbing up here and blowing up this section of wall. However, them digging through this or blowing up is most likely, because this section here is completely undefended, and they're going to be able to cut directly into the back of this castle if they do that. However, we also have a weak spot here. I put 2 gates here, but basically this is just a gated entryway into the wall. So it would take 2 explosions to get through that. And then this front section, there's weak points on the wall on both sides where it connects to the mountain. So they could come across here, blow up here, and then get across and get up on the wall. But I'm just kind of curious to see how the monsters are going to react. And I lit up the area, so they're going to pretty much have to spawn outside. And I just want to see a little bit of what the damage would be for one night. All right, so we go to survival. And I guess we'll just see how this goes, because very easily a zombie could break into here, I would think. And we'll just kind of go up to the top of the castle and see if we can see any fire or something. But the whole question here is, if you can survive one night, pretty much with a defense like this, then it wouldn't be too bad. So a witch got in here somehow. So they bust through the wall right there. It looks like they're digging, maybe. So basically there was a pond there, and I don't think I built down. There's a empty area there, so I guess it broke in right there. But so far it seems to be pretty well working. Now, to manage a place like this, you'd basically have to keep mining rock or dirt or something to fill in any gaps that could possibly come through. I think the biggest threat is going to be a zombie with a pickaxe, because theoretically they could build across the moat, dig straight through the wall and get in, and then everything else could walk behind it. Creepers may be able to destroy the outside wall, but we'll have to see. But theoretically, if you expanded your walls out enough and lit up the area enough, then they wouldn't be able to get this close, and they may be able to blow up the outside wall, but I don't think there'd be that much damage. Shoot. Guess we can go ahead and inspect the damage since we're down here. So maybe it wasn't a breakthrough. I kind of feel like they broke through, but I think what's happening is they slid underneath here somehow. Go take a look at the outside wall, I guess. So the sun's about up. I'm surprised none of them actually, shoot, none of them actually got right there. Okay, so let me kind of look at this real quick. I fell off the side. I'm surprised none of them actually spawned right here and walked in, but this right here is a very solid weak point. As soon as they destroy this little wall section, they can walk right under the wall. From what I can tell, nothing really destroyed anything here. Maybe something there. I don't see any real destruction over here. I'm going to assume it's probably all on that back wall over there. So this right here looks good. Maybe something there. Maybe something there. So it's possible they could dig through this here. Basically, the diggers are going to be the biggest thing. So something happened here. Either a creeper exploded or a zombie attempted to dig in right there. But I'm guessing they crawled up here, got in, and then they started digging across. But basically, after the end of the day, you just come over here and you'd fill up the gap. and then make any kind of extra modifications you would want after that. Looks like a piece got taken out there. This might have worked okay. So something happened here, so a big chunk got taken out here, but nothing too major. I mean, if you don't pay attention to that, eventually they're going to get through this big section. But even if they took out most of this wall section, I mean, you come over here, you get some pieces, you've kind of fill in. I don't think it would take long to repair any damage. It's just something that if you don't watch, it could become an issue down the road. So it looked like there's a few explosions there, maybe. I don't recall this. So I think a big explosion happened here, and there just happens to be an underground lake right here. So this actually is full of zombies, and it's going right into the castle. So this right here is the biggest threat to the castle I've seen yet. And lighting it with torches may help in the short term, but I mean, something like this, these zombies that are down here right now, even right now, could be slowly digging. It's probably what this guy was doing. But basically, this tunnel here is going to be going straight underneath the kingdom. And the tunnel was opened up by a big explosion, taking out all this dirt on top. So, I mean, that alone is just a drastic change, something that I didn't know was there when I was building the actual castle, and then something that got exposed purely because something big exploded here and opened up the hole. I mean, that's a big weakness because those zombies are somewhere right in here underground. So as soon as they get a pick, they're going to be able to dig straight through into the castle. Let's look and see if there's anything else going on. All of this looks good. All in all, I think not really much happened for the most part. I mean, you might want to fill in the crater over here, but I mean, that's still not a major issue. I mean, you come over here, you find it, you explore it a little bit, torch it up, um, do some repairs. I mean, you probably don't even have to cover that. So, I mean, you come in here with some torches, just kind of light it up a little bit. And these zombies are going to be chilling down here, but basically you would have to leave the area and come back. I don't think he has a coal. So I think, if your walls are thick enough, I mean, you're going to be moderately safe until something big happens, and then they're going to take out your whole thing. So uh, I don't think anything came through the mine shaft. That's probably the other thing we would need to check. 'Cause everything in here seems pretty okay. But basically, if we come down here, now there's kind of two things here. Is I made wood stairs. One, because I mean we can grow wood, but two is that wood can be lit on fire. So if something does happen, I can possibly light the wood on fire and keep things out for a short period of time. But the mine shaft just kind of goes down. I don't think any creatures are going to spawn where all these torches are, but essentially the mine shaft connected to a cave system, and then I just followed the cave system down to ground 11 instead of digging down to 11. So it just kind of wraps around, and then the mine shaft starts over here. But there was creatures spawning in here, but we lit it up earlier, so I don't think they're going to spawn in here anymore, which makes this a relatively safe area. until something happens to the lights or I go into another cave system. But coming down here means that those zombies are probably above me somewhere, and they could possibly dig down into this and cut me off. So that's the big risk there. I could branch off and try to make a dungeon or something and get name tags and like capture creatures, but creatures are super dangerous in this mod, so I don't know if it's worth it or not. So didn't seem like any super major damage going on. We're gonna go ahead and kind of let this play out. You know, you're feeling pretty confident in your defense. You know, you got some animals, you got some plants, you got some thick walls, you got a backup plan. The only real major threat is just the pick zombie. And I mean, the best thing to do for that maybe is to put lava or something into the mountain edge, like a wall section, dig it out, put lava there, seal it up, and that way when they try to dig through, they're going to catch on fire. I mean, that's kind of the best bet I can think of at the moment. I was about to say, there's no way that was just 12 seeds. Bread does seem like a pretty efficient food source. Just because of the growth rate, it just seems like it grows pretty fast compared to other things. But I mean, for the most part, I think this would be a fairly good base. I mean, you build it up and then you just kind of work your way out from here, build more bases, and then nothing should really happen to this. If you just show up and drop off your gear and all that, it should be pretty good. Get some bread. Probably do need some kind of tree or something though. It is a pretty dark world out there. I mean, building paths or anything like that would take quite a while. And connecting this to anywhere, I mean, that village is over there somewhere. So connecting a path to the village would probably be the best bet, but even then, I mean, a path isn't going to be nearly as safe as the wall. I mean, it might save you from one explosion, but right now it just seems like most of them are not spawning in a radius inside of here that would be a threat to the actual base. So I think the sheer size of the base is what's keeping it safe at the moment. So I don't really see any creatures spawning over here. So spiders are an issue. That fire seemed a little bit closer. So one of them exploded right there. That was a fairly big explosion as well. Apparently this spider can climb up that somehow. So it was a fairly big explosion right there. Still nothing really here. I mean, it seems fairly secure for the moment. I mean, I can't really complain. Looks like that second explosion was right there. I guess I could build like TNT cannons or arrow shooters or something. That's an issue. Alright. So there's a creeper. It didn't blow up, but it was next to the wall. It looked like it blew up right on the edge of the wall right there. Okay. So that looked like another explosion right there. So we will get to see if there's any more damage done. But for the most part, I think you just have to keep mining materials to repair damage throughout the day. I guess I can't sleep. That sucks. So we got quite a few explosions today. I'm gonna assume most of them are probably on either side of these mountains. So we got a zombie that made its way up here. So that means a zombie walked up the back side of this mountain probably at some point and came across and up onto here. Which really isn't ideal. That looks like the zombie that was in the cave earlier. It looks like we had a creeper explode right there. And it looks like somebody's holding a ladder or something. Looks like it took a fairly big chunk out of the land there. So, I mean, if they dig down enough right there, they're going to release this water and it's going to flood down here. But it looks like they lit our path on fire. So, I mean, that's kind of sad, but anyway, just want to make sure that stuff's locked so none of them get up in here. I don't really see any damage to the interior wall. So the other test that we got to do is basically going to be a really thick wall, something similar to this with no moat. And if it can hold out for a day or so, that means that you could build a fort technically. Uh, Build a fort where they might be able to hold a day or two of a siege, but not really much else. Something's digging right here, though. So it looks like a creeper got in the back here and blew up. And this is where it's kind of hard to figure out how to purely just fix areas. Because I'm not sure how exactly I can stop them from getting in right here. Or like if I need to light up more area or something. But something like that, like if they take out my food supply, it's going to make things a little rough. Alright. So now we go into Game mode C. And we just kind of look at the damage. So we know that they were able to deal some damage there. So that would take resources for me to repair. And it's dirt, which is kind of a bit more. I can only assume that it probably spawned on the side of the hill or maybe just right there. I don't know. Or it fell off the top of here, maybe. Fell off this. So we go and look. We know at least 2 creepers blew up on this outside wall. It looks like zombies have been building under the water right here, so they're cutting the water back. So instead of it being a full moat, it's now a partial moat. Looks like they tried to dig under right here as well. Looks like they're trying to dig under here. None of them actually tried to go through the front doors, which I'm surprised. The creeper that was here and fell off, I'm assuming. I'm going to go ahead and cut this back a little bit. Try to keep them from crossing right there. It probably fell off like here and blew up, which is where this damage is. And then this was the second explosion here, so it might have been on this path on the side, but basically this whole section here just got obliterated. And it took out this whole bottom part of the wall, which was mainly dirt. But essentially, you would have to basically go back and do repairs every day to the outside. So, I mean, this pathway got a little damaged, but it's not too bad. Just kind of fill in some dirt. Kind of get it back to, you know, and then basically you're going to have to go out and get more dirt every day. So, all right, we look over here. We see that there is another bit of damage that happened here. So they exploded on the side of the mountain. And then it looks like they have 2 or 3 explosions that all happened on this edge right in here. So they're slowly going to tunnel right through here and then hit the wall, which they may be able to get through right here. I don't really know. But even then, I mean, you just come in here and if you have the materials, you're just going to have to like mine materials. And with a cobblestone generator, I mean, you're going to have plenty of materials to actually do this with. So that's something. Okay. Essentially, you're just going to have to maintain the area which you are staying. Anyway. Yeah. So now we got to do a trial on a thick castle. Or a fortress. Okay, we got to do a fort. And this one probably won't have a moat. And we're going to want it somewhere reasonable. So we know the village is there. We could do a fort out here somewhere. What is that? Oh, that's my previous, okay. So we know that we have our first little castle area over there. This was our little defended first fort area that failed and is kind of in ruin at the moment. But that's possibly something that could give you some defenses when you first, if you really need it, you could kind of go there and fix up the wall and hold it off for a night maybe. But we know that there's extreme explosions that happened over there, and we also know there's a lot of dangerous stuff here. So if that's how that's going, and this is the village, which is still doing okay because we haven't been near it very much. And then our castle that we have right now is right here. Then we should probably continue in this direction. And we'll build a fort somewhere along the path here. So let's say if we make it to the river, let's say, okay, so from here, I mean, we could connect that waterfall across to this river if we wanted to, but I think what we're going to do is make a boat dock or something. You can see the water kind of dries up here, and then over there, I mean, there's flat land, but I mean, it just kind of puddles up. I think what we're going to do is take boats, and we'll just kind of follow this path all the way down. Because the boat's going to be the safest way to travel, I would think, besides skeletons. So we can see it kind of dries up on the left, and it kind of dries up there. So we might be able to get away. It looks like there's a lot of lava here. We can make a nether portal right here, maybe, and build the fort around it. Let's kind of check out this little cave here. We could also build the nether or the fort up here on this hilltop. I think that's the call. This little corner here, we're going to build a fort, and then we'll build another portal or something down there, but shouldn't be too bad. Go in somewhere like this. We're just going to use smooth stone. It's not going to be anything fancy, it's just going to be kind of makeshift fort. The problem with stuff like this is it's going to take a while to build for the most part. And yeah. So we're going to go into here somewhere. That'd probably be fine. Which is right here. So for this, we're probably going to want a minimum of 3 to 5 layers. I would say 5 layers on a wall would be enough to maybe stop 1 or 2 creeper blasts. So I don't know if that's good enough or not. know some materials have higher blast resistance as well, so I mean that's something. But you can see, like, if you're gonna play Minecraft with these mods, how you're gonna have to maintain your bases. I mean, the water mode is probably the most effective defense to protect your walls. But I mean, you can do the same thing with just having a little bit of thickness to your wall. And then not letting the creatures spawn inside of it. So with this building's gonna look pretty big. I think that's probably the biggest upside to something like this, is that your buildings are gonna look pretty big, but you're not gonna have very much internally in the building because you want to defend against creatures. A standard house just isn't gonna survive. I mean, if you're gonna build standard houses, you're gonna want a pretty thick wall. I don't even think we're gonna hollow this out. We're just gonna fill this up and then basically just make this a solid square and then carve into the front entryway up into like a couple of rooms. It's the only thing I can figure. Just keep this as a solid block. Make it fairly hard to actually get into. I guess if we make another portal, we could technically make an obsidian wall. I think if you don't make like a super thick wall, then you're gonna need cobblestone generators. If you could stack a cobblestone generator, basically what you'd have to do is build one that pushes up, and it would go up 13 blocks, and you make pistons that push it across, which would go 13 blocks. And then you could basically have two cobblestone generators set up, and then just kind of alternate the directions the pistons would push it, maybe. And you'd be able to make a 13 by 13 square. And then when they blow up the wall, it should just replace itself, ideally. And that might be the next test. I mean, cobblestone generators aren't really that hard to make, and the redstone isn't really that expensive. I mean, you'll have a little bit of redstone, a little bit of iron. But I much prefer to have simple redstone devices than complicated ones. For me, it's just always been a little bit better. And also because a lot of people don't really know how to work a lot of simple redstone. I mean, like, kind of like a tree farm. You can have an automated tree farm where you just kind of, set your tree in there and it pushes pistons, and you might have to adjust depending on how laggy your servers are and stuff, you might have to adjust your farm like every day when you go and use it. But if you use manual switches, you can just do it manually. I mean, it might be a little bit slower, but then you say somebody comes along and they want to use your tree farm. If they don't understand what levers to flick, and then on top of that, it might just be too much work for them. Also, that means that you can kind of like trip people out, like put fake levers and stuff everywhere. And they don't really know what it's doing, so they can't really try. I mean, most likely they're just going to blow up all your stuff afterwards, but... So what is that? It's three thick on the front. See, I think 3 thick might hold against 1 blast. I mean, and really anything over a certain limit is just going to be a little bit too much. And then you got to think of like spiders. Like, I don't know exactly what's going to be the best thing to keep spiders out, but... I don't know if spiders can go over fences. I assume they probably can. I think what I'll do is just while I'm kind of working on this, I'll just drop a couple villagers in here. And that's going to attract monsters, but it'll be kind of my replacement for me while I'm in here. So something like this, I mean, a picked zombie would be able to get through it pretty easy. But I mean, if you're paying attention, you should be able to kill the picked zombie and then fix the hole. And then the only thing getting past it after that point would be a creeper. So I don't think that'd be too bad. So something like that. Creeper blew up this corner. I mean, it took out two layers. So, but this is something, if you're mining enough stone, you should be able to keep it pretty well defended. I don't really think much would probably come and hit us in the backside, but this is the kind of stuff that you don't really see in normal Minecraft. I mean, you sometimes do with people that just want really massive builds, but a lot of times it'll just be like a one thick wall. You don't really see like super thick walls like this. But this is kind of something that if you really wanted to, you could keep thickening out your wall as much as you want. Just have your one little room in the middle with all your stuff in it, and then thicken your wall out to where you have like 7, 8, 9, 10 layers. And at that point, there's probably not much they could do to just bust in. They would have to whittle it down quite a lot. And I think the weakest part on anything like this is going to be the front door. So, figure out where you want the door. Let's do a double door, why not? It's just going to be a test anyway. But that right there is basically what would make that the weakest link. To fix that, what we'd have to do is come around this like this, and then you'd have to make it, I guess, a little bit thicker. And then put in another layer of door. Because that will give you 3 layers of door, and it would give enough layerage around this door, so if they blew through the side, they're going to have to go through that 2 layers. So that's pretty solid. And the backside isn't well defended yet, but we'll get there. Basically, you would have to build like a tunnel 3 thick. I mean, 2 or 3 thick through here. That way, in case they broke through. I mean, basically, you just want a crap ton of layers and then your central area. But I think 5 layers would probably be good enough. I don't really see anything coming through 5 layers. Oh, I mean, they definitely could go through 5 layers, but I'm just saying. Um, like, I really don't think 5 layers is going to be enough. If you don't have a wide radius around your base that's denying monsters entry. But if you have a very big area that's lit up and no one's going to be able to get through that, I think 3 to 5. I mean, being able to hold off one good blast would probably be fine. But if you have it where a bunch of monsters can get to your base, it's going to take a lot more. Most definitely. Okay. So we're going to have 4 thick. I mean, if you could get a layer or 2 put on here a day, I mean, that'd be good. We'll do a test run real quick. Is the wall too thick? Surely they can sense them. So that was a supercharged creeper, and this was a normal creeper. Now, you can see that the walls here are 4 thick. This supercharged creeper was able to take out 1 layer and a bunch underneath it. The other creeper was able to take out 2 layers. So you can see it was able to, with two of them, it was able to cut through, but it's getting into here. But zombies could dig through this here. So you're gonna need a cobble like farm, but it seems like the supercharged creepers kind of have a bigger AoE but less powerful blast, maybe. And for this right here, I mean, they're slowly carving out. Like you see, they did the big hole here, but I don't think it really matters. They blow up against the outside wall. You just extend the wall down. Just to keep extending the wall down. I don't see any point of doing anything extra there. And then, I mean, if that keeps happening, you have a platform that goes all the way down to bedrock, and then you just put some mine shaft holes or something going out the sides. See, so I guess spiders can't go over fences. Or yeah, they can. Huh. So spiders still big issue. Jeez. This isn't 100% foolproof, but I mean, it's taking a beating because these holes are going down and they're not, see, like right there, they could get in. The zombies can dig in, but right now they're not inside of the castle. So they're able to take, you know, a couple blasts before anything breaks in. And as long as they don't break in, you could repair it the next day. So, but this right here is a pretty massive hole. That's right here is the very end of the third layer, so they're pretty much in at this point. Zombies or anything could crawl up in there, but zombies aren't going to beat the iron golem. This right here is only through the first layer. That one didn't really seem to make much of a dent here, but that little baby zombie might if it digs up in there. But you can see how something like this you could have built just kind of chilling. You don't have like a bunch invested into it, just thick walls. And then later on, if you put a moat or whatever around it, then, I mean, if you put a water moat around this, I don't think they're ever getting inside of it. Just because it would take too many blasts to actually get through the wall. But I mean, just this alone is enough to hold its own, I guess, for a night. And this is what I really wonder too, is the snow. If you're in an area where it snows a lot, if it'll freeze the water. But you can see how if you're in here and you're hearing all these explosions, I mean, you're not seeing the extent of the damage that's happening. I have no idea where those two zombies just came from. Something like this does make the iron golems a bit more useful though, because they could easily handle just like an opening. But yeah, they blew through this bottom section here, and then the zombies dug up. So you're gonna want a pretty thick floor, pretty thick walls. And say, you know, you use this, you know, for a temporary base, you abandon it. Later on down the road, you know, somebody finds it or comes back and they're gonna see like, oh man, this is a pretty big little castle building. And they're gonna look and just see like a massive hole taking a chunk out of it and be like, what the hell happened here? Like this looks like it was part of a siege and it actually busted up into here. I mean, you don't really get much more realistic than that. Because all in all, I mean, it's not a bad little building. I mean, it's a solid stone, thick walled, able to keep spiders out, able to keep zombies out, able to keep skeletons out. But somebody was able to break down the defense and get in. Now, for something like this with no moat, if you're having a city or something, I mean, you just add another wall on the outside. Like here, there's not really much that you can do about, like, over here. I mean, this is a pretty steep wall. If they climb it, they climb it, you know? But, like on these sides, we could add another level, another layer of wall, and that would give it kind of a buffer where your outer wall would get damaged before your castle, and then that alone would probably be enough to keep this place pretty defended. But at this point, as long as the iron golems hold out, this place will probably be fine, but eventually the creepers will fully bust in and there'll be an army swarming this. I mean, the iron golems can defend this hole for a while, but eventually everything's going to get whittled down, so. There's a fair bit of caves down in here too. Huh. So let's say we come down in here, we go, we're not going to do any kind of fancy wall, but we do like a 2 wide wall right along here. And a 2 wide isn't really going to stop much of anything. It maybe stop one creeper blast. But if it spreads out the monster's attacks over, you know, a little area, it could be good. And this isn't going to stop spiders, but spiders aren't going to make it past the final castle wall anyway. So they haven't really hit anywhere but this front section. So if we're able to secure up the front section, I don't even know what the detection radius is, so like this wall might stop them from even detecting the villagers. I don't know. All right, so go over here, then we'll go back. Huh. I didn't know the skeleton's built as well. Interesting. So that was one creeper explosion on the outer wall, didn't go through. Looks like there is a zombie with TNT. Two zombies with TNT coming in. I thought they placed the TNT, but maybe they don't. So that was by the front gate. Looks like it was a pretty big explosion as well. Maybe the fire sets off the zombie TNT. So that was another one outside the wall. I guess the zombies aren't placing TNT. So that was another one outside wall. Looks like they're finally breaking in. Oh, looks like they hit us on this side as well. So that looked like it went in maybe 1 or 2 layers. Pretty deep hit. Got another zombie with TNT coming. I really thought the zombies placed the TNT, but I guess they don't. Yeah, zombie with a shovel. I'm guessing they're not going to try and build up because of this. Yeah, another explosion on the outer wall. Another zombie with TNT coming in. I mean, they're messing this up pretty bad down in here. I mean, after they hollow this out, though, I mean, we could put water in there and make it a moat. It's lucky none of them hit the backside of this. I think one of them just did, though. Yeah. Of course, it's as soon as I say it, though. So they busted through the back, and they just busted through the front gate. Let's see. So it's because that the foundation was dirt, so they took out the dirt. I mean, see, they're slowly hollowing out areas and breaking in, but as long as we keep repairing, we're doing all right. No idea where that creeper came from. Must have been underneath. Okay. So we're back to creative. I don't see anything crazy that happened here. That creeper had to have been under me or came off that back wall somewhere. Let me see, one creeper blast took out one section of that wall. But it looks like a skeleton or something's in here, yeah. We can see, I mean, the front wall absorbed 2 or 3 blasts before things really got in, and even then it's still stopping some of the creepers. This right here is where they got in. And then they went around it over here. But I mean, geez, they took a massive chunk out of this, probably with 1 or 2 blasts because it was mostly dirt. This right here, I mean, they took the first layer off, but all that's left is dirt. So, I mean, they're going to be able to get in there fairly easy. This back area, they busted in here. And then when I came back, I got blown up. So I can only assume that the creeper was sitting somewhere in here and blew me up. However, there's a massive crater right here, which makes me think that the creeper was right in here. Blew up and killed me from underneath. But I don't know how it would have gotten there unless it spawned there. Which just seems crazy to me. This right here got blown out. The bottom of this got blown out. We lost 2 of our 3 gate doorways because the bottom was dirt. So if we beef that up with some stone, it might actually last. I mean, all in all, not the best, not the worst. I mean, yeah, they got in, but I mean, it was a couple of areas. It wasn't too bad. This right here can be repaired relatively quick, and it did manage to stop 3 or 4 bomb blasts. This stuff in here can be repaired, but most of it was dirt. So I think if we replace all this dirt with stone, it's going to be much more resistant and be kind of like this, to where they only really got in like a small little area. But yeah, I would just probably leave this kind of how this is. I mean, you could thicken the walls out to where this is, if it's 5 thick, it's going to take a while for them to get in. And if it was 5 thick on the bottom as well, I don't think they're going to get in very quickly. This back section, because we didn't really thicken it up, is the weak link, because just one blast is getting through. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a small fort in the middle of nowhere that's just kind of something. So like later on, if we travel this direction, we can kind of find this and seal it up a little bit and hold down the fort for a day or so. But Yeah, it's a nice little area. This map has a lot of trees. All right. I gotta take a break and go lift, so